my agents comes to me one day, he calls me and he says, hey, I just had this surreal moment happen. Me and my wife were getting gas at a gas station. He's like, we didn't check the bank account. It was one of those moments where it's like, dude, we don't have to look at our bank account anymore to go fill up gas or get, and that hit me deep. And that's where the why really came from is, okay, so who else is out there in that situation where this agent was already licensed, he was already doing it, but he was just struggling with those people. If we take our time with each individual agent, like how many of their lives can we change?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Medicare Sales Playbook. I'm your host, Matt Smith, and today is an extra special day. Dallas and I usually sit across the table from each other, but every now and then we get to be joined by somebody who is, man, they're just out in the field killing it, and this one is long overdue. So today we are joined by Zeb Zinn, the owner of Zeb Zinn Insurance. So Zeb, welcome to the show, man.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys inviting me. Love the show. Love everything that's about.
There you go, right there. We paid him for that plug too. So, Zeb, this has been a long time coming, man. I've been telling you for a long time, hey, we should get you on, and for some reason, just never have.
That's life sometimes. So,
alrighty, Zeb. So, owner of Zeb Zinn Insurance.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about your agency. Where are you? What do you do? What are you guys all about?
Yeah. So Zeb Zinn Insurance, we've been, and the LLC's been birthed since basically 2023, doing Medicare and life, with the primary focus of the Medicare and retirement. And that's kind of where everything started from, but that's kind of how it started, during the LOA program as well, and being an independent agent before we started the agency. So,
okay. So, how old were you when you got into the Medicare business?
I would have to say I would have been probably, I was 19.
Okay.
I just turned 19 at the time. So about 6 years.
Okay. So I got into the Medicare business. I was 25 when I got into the Medicare business. Now we've talked about kind of my story into this. I kind of backwards fell into Medicare. Like I failed here. I wasn't doing well there. Here's an opportunity. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that listen that can relate to that. Like Medicare wasn't every little boy and girl's dream when they were growing up. And then they just kind of,
right.
One day we woke up and 10 years later, here we are. But at 19, you fresh out of high school. Mm-hmm. What brought you into Medicare? Why Medicare?
Yeah. A little bit of the background would be, I was working construction. My dad's owned a construction company for over 50 years now. And I would say I was looking at going to college, playing some sports in college, basketball primarily, and it never really panned out. God never really opened that door for me to go play sports. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to college. Don't know what I'm going to do. I knew at that point I don't want to do physical labor for the rest of my life. Many summers were spent, pouring mud, pouring concrete, doing physical labor. And so that door closed, and literally 3 days later, I'll never forget, it was literally 3 days later after that door closed, Ty James gives me a text. I've known Ty since I was a kid, grew up with him, and he's like, hey, I kind of know that you're not happy where you're at, through the grapevine. I have an opportunity for you. And it was this thing called Medicare. And at that time, I'm like, what is this? What is this? Long story short, I get my license. I shadow Ty. Then I joined the LOA program about 4 or 5 months later. And that's kind of what kickstarts my journey into becoming a Medicare agent as far as that goes.
So we had Ty on. Ty was one of our first interviews that we actually did, talked about the LOA program that he built. And obviously not just you, but there's been a lot of agents that have come out of that program.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of success, a lot of money being made out of that program. So 19 years old, you go into, now were you only doing Medicare when you started, or were you kind of dabbling a little bit, or was?
Oh, when I started, he's like, you need money fast, right? So what we tell all the agents that, even the ones that we recruit now is need money fast, let's do some life insurance.
Sure.
So we're doing life, and I'm selling terms to people that I go to church with, people that are I played basketball with, and I'm selling these terms to these young people, new, and I figured out really fast that calling, and then I had some final expense leads, digital leads, and I found real quick that this whole dialing game, picking up the phone and dialing every day, that was not for me. It was not going well. I am not a natural born salesman as far as that goes. And so that's kind of where I transitioned more into like, okay, Ty, I see what you're doing with the Medicare portion of everything. How do I do this? Like, what's the game plan on this? And it was like, well, it's a long haul. You know, it's not gonna make you a lot of money fast,
Sure.
but the whole math purpose of everything was you're gonna make 50 sales, let's say, your first year. But we're gonna compound that. We're gonna do, let's say, 50 more, you know? And I'm starting to see it go from 15,000 to 36,000 in these renewals with the Medicare. And I'm like, I can survive. Like I can do that. I got no bills right at the moment. I can survive. I can do that. So that transitions into my first AEP, which I tell a lot of our new agents about. Like December 31st, I've got $431 in my bank account. Right, I made it through the AEP, but at the end of that AEP, I ended up making like 79 sales. I think like 60 of those were Medicare with some cross sales, and that was my very first AEP with like 3 months of experience in the business. I got licensed in literally June, and so licensed in June, turnover until October, and I think it was like January 22nd. I think it was like $12,536. $12,536 hits that bank account, and I was ready to go.
if anybody ever tells you that your first big check is not memorable, like that is like I remember my first AEP.
Yep.
You know, I left a job that was, I mean, okay, I had set myself up for like I'm totally okay with mediocre.
Right.
Like, that's all I knew. I thought, hey man, if I can make $40,000 in a year, like we are doing. I mean, back home,
yeah, that's a
I'd
good
been king of the world.
Yeah, that's a great.
So I was like, man, if I can make $40,000, so I was making like $35,000, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember when I went into Medicare, like my first AEP was horrendous. Like it was like 2 weeks in or 3 weeks in or something like that before I made my first sale. I was like, I'm newly married. That's probably not going to last. I'm probably going to get fired in January. All of these things. But yeah, the end of the season, I remember that, you know, you're fueled on Pop-Tarts and gas station coffee, and January rolls around, and you're like, man, I hope that check clears.
Yeah, lots of gas station energy drinks
lots
for me.
Of gas station energy drinks. And then that check hits and you're like, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. It's not, it wasn't, right. I don't have like some super crazy success story. It was literally, okay, I spent $10K in 4 months, but I made that money back. So I got all the money back that I had previously spent. And basically from there on, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Like, sure. I can do this. I'm going to survive. I've got this in the bag. So that's kind of that first getting started point for me.
Okay. So you start out as an LOA.
Mm-hmm.
You start out as an LOA. How long were you in that program?
I was in the program for, I think it was like 2 years and a few months afterwards.
Okay. So 2 years, few months, transition LOA to independent, because that was a part of your program was, hey, we're going to grow, we're going to learn, we're going to develop some income, and then we're going to go to independent. Mm-hmm. So you moved to independent, and I actually got a chance to meet you right around that time. That's kind of when we first got introduced, was right around that time that you were moving to independent. And man, that was so much fun to watch. But like that's kind of around that time. But you know, you're moving and shaking, like business is going well, you're loving the business, you're making money. And then you decide to start an agency and recruit agents.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, the why would be, the why kind of came afterwards.
Okay.
I think the reason why then was I'm an independent agent. I need an LLC for literally for where the money's going to get dropped into the bank account out.
Sure.
Right. That's kind of how like the why it started. Why build it out?
That's where I'm going with that. Why?
That kind of came later.
Why recruit?
Yeah. So the recruits kind of just came, and that was like, I know that's a weird story to have, but we weren't really, wasn't at the time looking to like, hey, I really want to just start going crazy recruiting. But it was more of like this person comes and says, hey, I want to do what you're doing. I've seen you do it, over the course of these years, and it looks like a great life. How do you do it? And we had a conversation. They get licensed, and there's your first one, Sure. And one of our agents who's been with me, he was actually the first agent that we ever got like contract and got through it. And he's been with me the longest now. the why for really building it out, because, we've had it since I'd say like 23, but January of this year of 25 and December of 24, we had 5 like licensed and ready to sell agents underneath ZZ Insurance. So like 4 besides myself. We weren't really there.
Sure.
But one of my agents comes to me one day, he calls me and he says, "Hey, I just had this surreal moment happen." And I was like, "What's going on? What happened?" And he said, "Me and my wife were getting gas at a gas station, and I'm pumping the gas. She goes in, she got some drinks and some donuts, some snacks, and comes back out of the car. We sat down to leave, and he's like, 'Honey,' and she's like, 'What?' And he's like, 'We didn't check the bank account,' And he's like, 'We haven't done that in like 6 months.' And he called me and he let me know. He's like, it was a thank you, but also like he just wanted to share that with me, and I'm thankful because he did the work, right?
Sure.
But it was one of those moments where it's like, dude, we don't have to look at our bank account anymore to go fill gas or and that hit me deep. We had a little bro moment at that moment in time, and that hit me deep, and that's where the why really came from. Is okay, so who else is out there in that situation where this agent was already licensed, he was already doing it, but he was just struggling, kind of like you falling backwards into Medicare. And it was more of like let's do this thing together as a team, and you can kind of just do some of the stuff I'm doing. We'll do and we've done lots of training, and then now he's really now he's flourishing. Now he has downlines of his own, and he's building the whole thing out. And so the why really came from like that. It's not only how many clients can we like go out and affect and help with a multitude of people, right? Strength in numbers, but also like with those people, if we take our time with each individual agent, like how many of their lives can we change? Because he's got kids, and what about the other ones that have kids? And we're changing that lifestyle. So that's my why. That's really what birthed that for me.
Man, I love that. I was going to try to hit you at all different angles there, but man, that's so powerful, and I love, and I think that's where a lot of people start. And I don't know if maybe you agree, maybe you don't, maybe you disagree. But I think that's where a lot of people start whenever they're like building their agency and recruiting, is that recruiting generally, for a lot of people, doesn't start out as like an objective. Mm-hmm. Like it's an organic opportunity that just presents itself. And it's like, hey, you're driving a nice car.
Right.
You live in a nice house, you on vacations. What are you doing? Can I do it too? Like but then, you do have folks, because I know you've got guys on your team who are recruiting actively, but man, there are so many reasons why people recruit agents, and we talk a lot about by growing by multiplication versus addition, how many people, but dude, that is so cool that the opportunity, like this industry changes lives.
It does.
Not that every industry doesn't change lives,
right?
But this industry changes lives, and to have just a small part in that, that is so cool.
And that's where you get fulfillment from, I think, and that's more than the money. That's more than what money can buy, to me personally. So I agree with you there for sure.
I know I talk about that too. Like money comes and goes.
Right.
Like just because you make X amount of dollars this year and you want to make more next year, well, that's great. That's money. Eventually money doesn't, and money only fills the need for a very short amount of time. There's a lot of people out there there's a lot of studies out there that shows that money in the long term is actually a demotivator versus a motivator. Mm-hmm. So being able to find your why, find that personal fulfillment below that, it's the thing below the thing. Like that is so cool. But I don't know if anybody has noticed yet, but you are a little younger than me.
A little bit, probably.
Probably just maybe 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah, that's it.
at best. And you lead a team of 10-ish, 12 agents, somewhere in that neighborhood?
We're actually knocking on the door at the end of this month. It's 38 agents that we have contracted.
10 or 12 plus another 20.
Yeah,
okay. So
bit.
That's what I actually meant to say. Are your agents older than you?
I think we have 2 that are my age.
Okay.
And then the rest would be older than me. Yes.
So I spent about 10 years in a position where, with the exception of one person, the next youngest person in my organization that I worked with was old enough to be a parent. Mm-hmm. And that was an odd thing for a while. And then it becomes natural, but to know that your next closest peer, and I was not a leader of these people, I was just part of the team.
Right.
My next closest peer was my mom's age. You're in a different position. And I think there's a lot of agents out there who are at a position where they are young and they have a lot to give. They have a lot of knowledge and they have a lot of resource that they can give, and they have the why, they have the care and all of the things, but they're letting their age hold them back. They're letting their I'm not ready hold them back. And you know that if we wait until we're ready, if we wait until the stars and moon align, we will never, I'll never leave this stool.
Right. Yeah.
So we do at a certain point have to go and do before we're ready. But as a young agency owner, I'm sure you faced at least one or two challenges.
Yeah.
Talk me through a little bit of that. What is it like? What is I don't want to say the struggle, but what are some of the challenges that you face leading a group of agents that are not younger than you?
Right. Well, that's always, I think that's a real, you're hitting a real note,
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more than just what are the struggles in that.
We only have so much time.
Right.
We only have so much time.
Only so much time. But no, for sure. So what I would say to that is I struggled with what we call imposter syndrome. Why am I in this position? Who's going to listen to me because of how young I am, right? And I did that on two different fronts. I did that on the client front and on the agency or agent front, And so for me, I think that was all part of God's plan and working it the whole way. My whole journey in here is part of God's plan. There's miracles left and right. But whenever I was an agent at 19, 20, and you're talking to 65, 70, and 80-year-olds who are like, oh, my grandson's here to do my Medicare.
Did you ever find yourself, and I'm gonna break you there for a second. Did you ever find yourself in a spot? So when I was doing it, it was myself and another girl, we were young at the time, 25, 26, something like that. And then the next closest person was about my parents' age. And then we had a gentleman who was about 65.
Yeah.
And I always said that we were kind of we had the cards stacked against us because this gentleman, man, he's their age. He's our client's age. They trust you.
Oh, yeah.
These two folks, this guy and gal, you're their kids. You're their trusted kids. They lean on you for everything. And here you have Matt, the screw-up grandson.
Right.
I'm the guy who walks over there and they're like, oh, this guy. So how do you have to tackle that head on?
You do.
How have you run through that?
For me, it was more of, so knowledge is key and knowledge outweighs an age being a number. So for me, getting started as an agent, it was learn everything I need to know about Medicare, and be that person who knows everything that can answer every question that the client has. And that's where the rapport and the trust was built. And I'd say that it worked well. And so transitioning into an agency standpoint of it, it's, the agents that we have, there's people that they don't know what they don't know. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm just trying to provide that information, and so building that rapport and trust with agents has come with its struggles and definitely being the youngest person in the room. But, I would say just the fruits of the labor and the end product that they can see is where your trust is going to be built. And so as long as you as an agent, as we're talking to agents, as long as you as an agent are focused on what you're doing and what that looks like for you, and if it's successful or not, but if it's successful, then the proof is in the pudding, right? And so for the agency standpoint, when we talk to these agencies or we talk to these agents, it's it's more of a come and see, I'm a big Christian, and the Lord Jesus, when he was on this earth, he was a servant. It was come and see and follow me, right? And so it's more of I try to do it more of that, more of just I'm, not a leader, and this is what we're going to do. More of, this has worked for me.
With me.
Let's see if we can do it for you, and see if it works. And I don't think there's a wheel's not busted, right? And so we just follow that wheel, follow the blueprint, and they're having success now on their own too. So
and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Is that I think it's easy to get caught up in that who's going to listen to me, all that stuff. But if you can sit back, now I'm a believer that people should start recruiting when they're ready.
Right.
I'm also of the opinion that not everybody will be ready. There are some people that will never be ready, and that is okay. If that's you, fine. Go forth and do your thing. But part of being ready is having the systems, is having the knowledge, is being the resource. I think it's letting your production speak for itself. Like at the end of the day, I might be the youngest guy in the room, but here's the deal. This is what I produce. And it's not because I walked out of the house and a Medicare app fell on the sidewalk. Yeah. Like I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Come and follow.
Yep.
Like
it's just the step by step. That's what we do for sure.
And that knows no age.
Yeah.
Like that knows no age. Like I love that.
For sure.
So now we've been in the agency now, been recruiting agents, and you got guys. You have folks doing. You guys aren't just doing Medicare, right? You're not just Medicare agents. You're all things insurance.
Yeah, we got some. Yeah, we've built out some life teams as well. And so like we are team leaders. So we've got some team leaders that have built their own downlines as well through this whole thing. And so one of our downlines does focus on life and in a telesales market. So he's got 4 or 5 guys on his team that are doing telesales life, and that's been phenomenal. And they're seeing a lot of success with that right now too. So yeah, that has been also really good.
So you've been recruiting agents. You've been not recruiting, but you've been growing a team for the last couple of years now. 2025, things are clicking, things are going well. How do you see that your leadership, like, you are the leader of the agency. Folks don't work for you. Like that's always very clear, but we do have to treat our agency, kind of like an employment model almost, because even though our agents don't work for us, they do look to us for leadership. They look to us for guidance. They look to us for support. They're leaving jobs and coming to follow us. So we have to have that in place. So how do you feel like your leadership has changed over the last year or two?
I would say mainly a focus on culture.
Okay.
Within the team, within the team, like we are like one unit, wherever people may be in a downline, I almost have tried to start change my verbiage from my like agent to just teams and team members, because it doesn't matter where someone is on where it comes to like a totem pole, as long as we're all pushing towards one goal together. And I do think like for anyone wanting to get into building an agency, you have to know what kind of culture that you want to create, which Lasting Mark is amazing at helping build culture, but also having like a clear vision of where you want to go. And so as long as we can get everybody on the same page, and push towards a goal together, it creates just team unity. Everybody's more motivated together to do stuff, on a month-to-month sales basis. And so it's just creating just that overall culture of like, we're a family, we're a unit, we do this together. And that. So you can call Zeb whenever you want to. You can call Trent, Brett, these guys that are like our team leaders, and they're not just out there in the oblivion or way up the line. It's just like he's out in the field probably too. Like, let's do, we're just trying to do it together. So I would say that takes away a lot of struggle if more people would focus on that more than being agency owner, and with some quotation marks there.
And I love the air quotations there. We have, and I'm sure you hear it all over the place, but there's a saying that we like to use a lot that, success happens in community, failure happens in isolation.
Yes.
So, and then we actually just had a podcast drop where we're talking about finding an FMO, finding an upline. And I'm of the belief that whenever you are searching for, and we can call it uplines or FMOs, I don't honestly care what you want to call it. You just searching for a home. Mm-hmm. Like what you're really searching for is you're searching for culture. You're searching for community. You're searching for a group of people, or maybe it's a single person, but you're focusing for a place that you can go surrounded by people who love you and care about you and want to see you succeed.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that you guys are building over there. And that has been, that's been tremendous to watch as y'all have grown, you've expanded all the things. So, some quick fire questions here for you. What are some, for your team, and this might be a hard question to answer, but maybe not. What are some non-negotiables? Like whenever you are looking at your team, building the team, whatever it might be, what are some non-negotiables for your team?
That's a hard question. That's a hard question.
Because I actually don't even know how to ask the question, so it's going to be hard to answer.
Let me, I'll think about it for just a second, then I'll give you an answer. I would, I see, it's not like this just one thing with a non-negotiable. Okay. When we talk about culture, I guess one thing too is like there's a lot of agents that are just trying to recruit whoever to have an agent.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think with a lot of our team members and me personally, even when I'm recruiting and we're going through those initial calls or onboarding calls, that's more of like an interview that agent might not even know about.
I love that.
But it's more of an interview more than just this is what we do. Yes. Sign up with us today.
Yeah, we ain't trying to fog a mirror
It's not a non-negotiable, but if we see someone's not really going to be a culture fit,
yes.
And I try to place people as well on our teams, and if I just can't see this person fitting with one of our groups and not with me personally either, it might not be we might not be the home for that person, so not necessarily non-negotiable, but really I'm really big on just trying to preserve the culture because it takes a lot to build a culture, and it has already, and we want to preserve it.
I think that is a non-negotiable. I mean, it sounds like a very non-negotiable, like, I'm not going to say we'll say it, Under Armour. This is not sponsored by Under Armour, by the way, but Under Armour says protect this house.
Yes.
At all costs, non-negotiable, we're going to protect this house. Dude, right. I love that.
So that would be our main thing. I don't have a list of those non-negotiables.
You don't have 7 items. That's fine.
But just trying to protect what we're doing and trying to find people with like-mindedness, which goes with culture, but they're motivated. They know what they want. And a lot of our people have come from bad homes already. I'm not going to start naming off those homes, but they don't have a culture fit. And they don't feel like
we're not talking about physical houses here.
Yeah, we're not talking about physical houses here.
Yeah, for a second I was like, wait, what are you talking about? I know where we're going.
Yeah, we're not talking about physical houses here, but they don't have where they're at right now is not working for them. And we do get a lot of people like that. And so when they come over to us and like you said, then they see that and what we're trying to do and trying to accomplish, it ends up being a fit just by itself, So
it's powerful, man. Tell me about I love talking about all the fun things, but let's talk about some not as fun things. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some mistakes.
Yeah.
I know I have made plenty of them. It's more fun to pick at Dallas, whenever we're sitting here talking about it, because he's always like, oh, well, what about this? Which he's good to remind me of the mistakes that I make on a daily basis. But anytime you're new doing anything, and not just because you're new, like seasoned, like mistakes, we're human. Like we're not perfect people. We are not going to be perfection. So as you have gone through this journey, because this has been a very short, and again, I think it's important that our listeners know that this journey is not like you've accomplished a lot in a journey that seems like a lifetime, but in reality, it's been 6 years.
Yeah, it would be right at 6.
So 6 years. So it's been in a short span of time. You've had to have some hard lessons along the way. There's no way it's not possible. What's a mistake that you feel you've made that you think is maybe a common mistake that people make?
Yeah.
Just coming into this world.
I do have one actually just came to my mind. And that would be, analysis paralysis.
Love it.
And people might want to write that down if you guys are listening.
Paralysis by analysis.
Analysis paralysis. I am a big person who wants to know what's going on, where we're going to go, and how we're going to get there. And in insurance, or I guess you could say in sales or whatever that may be, you're, especially insurance because of the products and everything, but you are not going to know it all before you figure it out. And
say that again for the folks in the back.
Yeah, you're not going to know it all before you figure it out. And I think the only reason that I can even be sitting here today is like with the mentors that I've had. And again, speaking about like Ty, for example, but being in that program, having him as that mentor, it was like, let's do an appointment together. We did an appointment together, and that was the only appointment he ever ran with me. When it was one. So it was like And so and this is for agents, and this ties into like agency as well. But it is like sometimes you just got to hit a go button, and you just got to hit that big red button and just do it. And you might not see the floor below you, and you're taking that leap of faith, but sometimes you just got to do it.
We said that we kicked it off with that. Like sometimes you just like. If you wait for everything to be perfect,
it's just never going to happen.
Like I'm waiting to win the lottery. Like that's my thing. But here's the deal. Like I'm not quite there yet. Like I need a better story for the lottery. So I'm not quite ready to buy that one ticket that's going to win for me. But if we wait till the stars and the moon and everything aligns, like you're going to sit in a seat of mediocrity and you're never going to go forward. So,
and I would say like 80% of the agents that we like talk to and we work with, they're going through that same thing.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the biggest obstacles that we have to overcome when they come on and when we're doing trainings and stuff. And sometimes I have to call them personally and just be like, hey dude, like, let's just like, what's keeping you from just going and knocking some doors today, or what's keeping you from making 150 dials, this afternoon. And it's like, well, I don't know what this product might do. And it's just like, we talk about the product, we go over it one more time, but I'm like, just make the dials, just do it. Have the conversations.
What a better way to learn the product than go try to teach somebody about the product.
Yep.
And here's the other thing, even if you don't know it all, as long as you don't point out the fact that, hey, I'm not perfect at this, most people aren't going to know.
Nope.
Like most people aren't going to know. Like I'm going to point out the fact that I'm not the greatest podcast host in the world. Now they're going to look at me and be like, "Oh, Matt, I can catch
a couple things, but they didn't know before."
But if I wouldn't have said that, they would have been like, "This guy's on the way up. Like he's almost there." Rachel in studio, she's flashing the cards at us, and we're down to about a minute here. What's next for ZZ?
What's next for ZZ Insurance is honestly, we're just going to keep steadily doing what we're doing. We're actively recruiting. If anyone would like to, reach out to us, that's anywhere. We would love to help you, whether that's just having a conversation, answering a few questions, whatever that looks like for you. Our whole agency is completely open. And so I'll give you guys some of that info, maybe throw it on the screen or something. And then like my email is, it's ZEB ZINN secure SECURE @gmail.com. And so if you guys want to shoot like questions or like just some whatever you guys want, you guys can contact us also.
I mean, that's our mission here. Like our mission here at the Medicare Sales Playbook is to help agents, grow their book one play at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that I remembered that right there because I was pretty sure I was going to blank. Zeb, great stuff today, man. Thank you so much for finally agreeing to come on. I mean, I know I've been at you for months and you just keep turning me down. So this has been really great. I really appreciate the time today.
It's been a blessing. Thank you, guys.
Guys, thanks so much for coming and listening to us today. Man, this has been a great interview here with Zeb. Some great time spent. I don't know what word I was searching for there, but I was looking for something special. We are so appreciative of you guys. Like, I just can't say it enough. The fact that y'all sat here and listened to us for even like 2 or 3 minutes is surprising and humbling, and that's not lost on us. So thank you guys so much for all the time spent watching and listening and for your questions and your comments. We've been on the road, and there's going to be some road shows that will be coming back. Again, I don't know when, probably after AEP, but if you're interested in knowing more, just keep following us. Here's the thing I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to subscribe. I'd like for you to leave us some comments. Anything that the cool kids are saying that you should do, that's what I would like for you to do. Otherwise, if it's not cool, don't do it. But until next time, thanks for joining us on the Medicare Sales Playbook.